Welcome to the Vibez podcast, your one-stop shop for all the latest tech news.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Vibez. Now, this is going to be slightly different because I am actually doing a video podcast, which I'm going to put on to YouTube. So I'm going to do this slightly differently. The flow might be different if you're listening to it over your normal video or audio podcast, I should say. So I've not practiced this. There might be some mistakes, so please do excuse me for that. But I am going to go through over the latest tech news that we've been having recently. So what has been going on out there? Well, the first thing that I want to talk about is Elon Musk's latest reveal, and hopefully you can see it on the screen. If not, I will talk about it. But there's talks of Elon Musk, who unveiled the pig with a chip in its brain. And literally, they're saying in this article online, where I'm reading about it a lot more, is saying that it's kind of like having a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. It's really, really interesting to see that we're coming to a point where we're looking to have, chips in our body. We're looking to have wires in our body, and just to have a way of possibly looking at technology in a different way. How we interact with technology may be different. It could be the case of if you've got Microsoft Word open and you want to type out a letter, instead of typing it out, you just gotta think about it and be like, dear sir, madam, blah, 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 blah. And, as you're thinking about it, it will then just type it out for you. It definitely is very interesting to see that it's what's going on out there. Elon Musk is saying that the chip could eventually be used to help certain medical conditions such as dementia, Parkinson disease, etc. Maybe the output that comes from this chip that goes to a computer gives us a better understanding of what is going on out there. So very interesting to see that. I know that was something that they were looking to unveil, which they have done. He's obviously openly spoken about it. But how do you feel about having a chip in your body? How do you feel about having wires? How do you feel about the chip being able to talk to a computer to dissect what you're thinking, or what your reaction would be to a smell or taste? I mean, where this could go it definitely is very, very interesting. The next news I've got, which I'm going to talk about, is Tesla's latest change, which is they're talking about that they have their autopilot, which has now been updated to now have, which can now detect speed tests or speed limit signs, I should say. So if you're driving, let's say if I'm driving down a road that's, I don't know, 30 miles an hour, there's a sign. The autopilot will see that it's 30 miles an hour and then slow down accordingly to that sign that is red. Now, I was under the assumption that the autopilot already knew that, but it could very well be a case that, a road has been updated, the speed has gone from 40 to 30, which happens quite a lot in the UK. I don't know if it happens a lot elsewhere. And, sometimes, you are unable, if you've got something automated in it and that change hasn't been uploaded, how will the car know that the road's faster or slower? So I think this is a welcome change for the autopilot. It's great to see that that Tesla are looking at ways of looking at signs. There could be different kind of signs that it can read. It could be like slow down. There may be wild animals running across the road. But definitely interesting times. Definitely really interesting to see. Tesla are definitely working on improving that. Other news, and this one's actually got me fairly excited actually. This one is basically someone has managed to put a portable Nintendo Wii in a shape of a Game Boy Color kind of enclosure. So you have a handheld in your hand that will allow you to basically play Nintendo Wii games. I'm just kind of looking into it. I mean, if you're looking at the video right now, you can see it looks pretty darn sweet. And as you can see, they've got a picture here. I mean, it looks identical size-wise in terms of the Game Boy Color. It is very, very interesting. Now, what's going to be very interesting to see here is I know handheld gaming is a big thing. We're going to see handheld gaming a lot more over time. We've got Stadia, which I talk about all the time. I talk about xCloud. GeForce Now. Video game streaming is the next big thing. I've always said that. I always believe that it is the next big thing out there that will replace PC gaming, console gaming, etc. But to be able to have something like this in a handheld, I reckon that would be quite popular, especially for, let's say, people that live around London, that may go in the tubes in the future when this pandemic is over. People tend to read books or play on screens or watch something. So this could be another kind of gadget that somebody could have in terms of being able to obviously just keep themselves entertained during a journey, which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool. Other things that's going on out there, which actually caught me about gaming, and I'm hoping that I can find it. But someone has actually turned around saying that cloud gaming could potentially lead to being a bad thing for the environment. They're saying that remote streaming services could cause a rise in emissions. A study was had taken place about that, and they're saying that these cloud services would just mean that carbon emissions could rise up by 30%. I probably need to have a look into this, but I guess it kind of makes sense. Everybody will probably need to have more of these controllers, which are made out of plastic. You've got a, mobile phone. You're using 5G, 4G data more. Does that use of data mean for more carbon emissions? But just by you doing that, definitely something worthwhile looking into. So if you're really interested about the environment and this has kind of caught your eye, I mean, I was actually taken back by this. Actually, I never thought it would have raised the emissions by 30% is what they're saying. I thought it would have been the other way around. So, but for people out there who are listening to this, or watching this, I should say, what do you feel about video game streaming? Do you think that's the way forward, or would you rather just have something, where you just have in your home and you got to dedicate your time to a TV or a screen? Like I said, I've been a fan of game streaming. I think if somebody wants to, we deal with movies. We can watch movies on the fly. And I think you should be able to play video games on the fly. But definitely very, very interesting to see where that is going. And I would love to know what your thoughts are in regards to this all. Talking about video gaming, some big news this week is got to do with Apple removing Fortnite developer Epic from the App Store. Now, this has been something that's been going on for weeks and weeks. I have conversation with my friends about it. All of my friends and I think this is the most craziest thing that's going on right now. But Apple has removed Fortnite from the App Store after the game offered a virtual discount. So they had their own payment store, and which was made outside of the app, and this kind of bypassed Apple's 30% cut. Apple didn't agree with that. Apple wants to have the cut, that 30%. And there's a battle. Epic Games are saying that we don't agree with what they're doing. Apple's just like, look, this is this is the way it's supposed to be. Everybody follows those guidelines. But there's a new argument, which I said about in the last podcast, that some companies are paying less than 30%. And I think that's the problem. I think because there's different deals and etc. I think if you're going to do this, keep it the same across the board. I think everybody thought it was the same across the board. Some documentations were leaked to say, hey, that is not the case. So yeah, I'm keeping a very close eye on this because, whatever happens, if Apple lose this case and lose this battle, this could have serious repercussions on the App Store. Um, it's going to be definitely very, very interesting to see what's going to happen there. And to have Fortnite that's no longer on the App Store. I mean, Fortnite is a huge, huge game that children play as well as adults, but I think more of the younger generation. But hey, next news: Amazon has released Fitness Band. Didn't see that one coming. That's kind of come out of the blue. I guess I've not really been following what Amazon have been doing. But Amazon's Fitness Band, there's talks about when you're setting it up, you may need to take a picture of yourself to see for it to tell you how fat you would look like if you didn't exercise, which is fairly interesting. I mean, you could have an off day, take a picture, and be like, right, just because of this off day, you've gained a couple of sizes. But it is interesting to see that they are in the fitness band space. It'll be interesting to see how they will utilize AI and fitness. Um, I kind of feel as though Amazon should try again to make their phone again. They did have an Amazon phone, which kind of flopped, and I think maybe they should take another stab at that. Maybe it's worthwhile for them going back into that and possibly making an all-rounder thing. But to see that they're coming into the health space is pretty cool. And talking about the health space, the Fitbit has had an update. The Fitbit has an update, and I'm not too sure what devices it has updated for, but it's saying that, or it could be a new model, but they say that these devices can now monitor your stress levels. Now, in terms of stress levels and measuring your stress levels, I actually have the Samsung Galaxy Watch 3, which I love at the moment. I've moved from the Apple ecosystem into a different ecosystem, and this watch itself actually has a stress level functionality where I can see how stressed I am. It says I'm not really stressed out at all most of the time, which is a good thing. But to be able to see what your stress levels are like, I think that's quite useful. I definitely think it's useful, like if you're having a stressful day at work, and a wearable can say, "Hey, just step back, take a breather, like breathe for a couple of minutes." I think that would do a world of good for people in terms of their mental health, in terms of their well-being, and to have more and more wearables that can do things like that. I think it's definitely is a welcome news. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Now, another thing that has, well, which again I mentioned last time round, but I'm gonna put up the website now to have a look into it. But ZTE on the 1st of September. Now, next week is gonna be a big week. But ZTE, I believe, are a Chinese phone manufacturer, and they are going to unveil on the 1st of September the first smartphone where the camera is behind the screen, and it's definitely really, really interesting to see how that's going to come about, how that's going to look like. But it's definitely a move in the right direction. And again, if you're watching the video, you can see I've got the web page up. They're going to launch the world's first 5G smartphone with under display camera. So we're going to find out on the 1st. Like I said, next week is going to be a big day. And now Xiaomi have released a video that got leaked on Twitter showing their device. So I think after this, the launch event, I think we're going to see a lot more. And they're kind of beating Apple and Samsung to the punch in terms of this kind of technology. Like, just imagine you've got a device. It could be a tablet. It could be a phone. It could be anything. It could be a laptop. It could be just an ordinary monitor screen, which has a built-in camera. Now, funny enough, one of my my boss at work literally said, as we were doing some work with video conferencing, saying, "How cool would it be to have a camera in the middle of the screen when you're doing a video conferencing?" Because as you're looking at the person that's talking to you over a video conference, it looks like you're talking to each eye to eye. I obviously have to look up because the webcam's up there on the top, but when you're looking eye to eye, I guess you will feel more connected because you have that eye contact virtually. And you say, how cool would that be? And I think what he said, this is going to happen. We're probably going to have video conferencing units that will have a camera smack bang in the middle of the screen, but you won't see. Now, I don't think so far at this moment of time, I think it has to turn the screen black for the camera, as in like literally turn a section of the screen off for that camera to see through. So it's still very early days, but I guess once they start cracking a way of getting a camera to see through colors and see through what's on your screen to then see you, I guess that would be absolutely, amazing. Now, Huawei have not been having the best of time, as you know, in Europe and with the US. Well, not in Europe, I should say the UK and the US. They've kind of have banned Huawei products. And obviously, it sets the UK 5G infrastructure rollout to be slower. Now France has kind of jumped on the bandwagon. They're saying that they're not going to essentially ban Huawei for 5G, but they're definitely going to favor European companies for their 5G infrastructure, which basically mean companies such as Ericsson, one big company, Nokia. Nokia is definitely coming up there, coming back into the picture. Um, I guess we're going to see more of Nokia's or Ericsson's implementations of 5G, and this could be a huge cut to Huawei overall. Um, Again, it's one of those spats that I don't fully understand on what's happening, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that goes. So, yeah, France have taken the stance of obviously changing that, and yeah, definitely interesting times with the changes that's happening. I mean, 5G rollout has gone kind of like in the wrong directions slightly. We had the pandemic where people were taking down to 5G masts, and now we've got situations where rollouts like that may not be as quick as we want it to be. Now, there has been some renders that are looking into the entry level iPad, so going into the Apple space. They've got a possible reveal where the entry level iPad will look a lot like the iPad Pro. And there's a good chance that it might have Face ID and have support for the Magic Keyboard. There's other rumors that I've read that instead of having Face ID, they might have the Touch ID on the side of the iPad. And that's definitely going to be interesting to see what route they go down on. I think to keep the cost down, I see the Touch ID being on the side being a bit more of a thing, but definitely interesting to see what they're going to release for the entry level iPads, what's going to change, what's not going to change, but they're definitely going to get rid of those bezels that you used to have before, and that's definitely a welcome change for sure. To obviously see these kind of changes. Now, if you're in the UK and if you bank with Santander, and I don't know if it's been a bit more widespread, but they've been hit with some kind of outage just ahead of the bank holiday weekend, which is the weekend that we're in now in the UK. We've got Monday off. Um, and basically, a lot of people were unable to do their banking. So a bit of a boo-boo there. It does happen. Some of these bank customers were unable to access their accounts to see um, what they've got in terms of their balance or if they wanted to make a transfer. So definitely not a kind of news that you want to see the bank to have. But hey, these kind of things do happen. These kind of things um, can happen whenever there's a software update. Nothing's ever 100%. In other news, going into Google Space, Google are going to add support for casting. I believe I mentioned this before. They're going to release casting support for Google Meet on any Android-based TV, so Android TV. And they're also launching beta versions of Duo for Android TV as well. So Duo is their version of Skype, or or I can't really say Zoom. I need to look at the differences between Meet. I think Meet is more like Zoom and Duo is more like Skype, like FaceTime kind of situation. It's good to see Android TV picking this up. I know that I tried to hook my webcam to my own personal Android TV, hoping that I could do Skype off there, because the webcam has got um, a microphone built in. TV obviously has a speaker built in. I wasn't able to do that. I was kind of gutted because it does run off Android, and to see that they're able to, well, they're looking into doing that. I don't know how far they're going to go. Are they going to allow webcam support for TVs? But I think they should. I think they should. I think this is going to be definitely interesting to see. Now, I was saying September is a big date, big week in terms of tech. And the first thing that I'm excited about is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. It's going to be, it was already kind of unveiled, but they're saying that it's going to be fully unveiled September 1st. The front of the screen is going to have a full screen. And if you're watching the video, you can see what I mean by that. So if I just open up a browser, for example, on my phone, it doesn't cover the entirety of the front phone on the foldable. I still like the fact that you've got the small screen on the front, but on the new one, the entire front of the phone is going to be a full screen setup, and then you fold it out, and it's a tablet. Very interesting to see that they've done that in a two-phase rollout. Obviously, the price is going to be the same as last time round, not cheap, but very interesting to see that Samsung are beginning to get the foldable thing just right. Now, the one thing that still is going to be there is going to be their crease. Now, a lot of people ask me the question on my fold, do you see the crease? Can you see the fold? And yes, you can. But when you look at it straight up, if you look at it head on, you can't see it. Like if I was to show you this, you can see this. And again, if you're on the video, you can see the crease. But if you have it at the right angle without any light reflecting, you won't be able to see that crease in the middle. So it's not a big deal. I don't think people are making a big deal about this crease in the middle. It is not a big deal. But I'm very much excited to see foldable technology going the way that it is. Now, the next big news, and big news for gamers, big news for AI possibly, because you've got a processor that can do something. But Nvidia, a big graphics card company, is releasing their new graphics card. At the moment, the pipe dream for a lot of video gamers is to be able to play their games at the highest frame rates possible. Last year we had the Nvidia RTX 2080, 2070. There's 2080 Ti's. There's different versions. However, their new one is coming out. They're going to make an announcement, and there's been some leaks about how it's going to look like, how big it's going to be, and there's actually pictures online about how the cards could possibly look like. Now, there's a lot of cards that they say it's going to take that's going to take 3 slots or 2 slots. But the most important thing about these graphics cards, it's going to take a lot of power. They're going to do ray tracing, and ray tracing is a very interesting technology where you're able to kind of reflect light, as you would do in real life. Things will look a lot more realistic. But as I think the big thing here is people want to be able to game in 4K Ultra HD above 60 frames per second religiously. Now, I know that a lot of people are saying, you've got the Xbox, you've got the PlayStation 5, that can do the same thing there. That's not necessarily the case. They may be able to do gaming at 120 hertz, but will it be for true 4K? I don't think it will be. because there are some, caveats to doing that. But it's a tough one, I look at it thinking if you got a 2080 Ti, is it worthwhile upgrading to 3080, 3090? And I'd probably say not really. But that this space, I mean, tech is really picking up now. September, October time is the time where you see a lot of things happen. We've got the iPhone 12 that is touted to come out. That's going to look similar to the iPhone 5 in terms of its thickness. You've got the Pixel 4a 5G, the Pixel 5G phone. They're just calling it the Pixel 5. Um, these graphics card, you've got these coming out, which is going to be powerful, and powerful enough to possibly do a lot of compute power when it comes to AI, for example. We've got new phones um, but are they really big game changers in the world of tech? I don't think so. Not right now. I think the only big game changer for me is Elon Musk and what he's been saying about having a microchip in a brain and getting it to talk to a computer. I think that's big. But in terms of these are yearly things, and I think for a lot of people that are looking at, should I get a new phone every year? Should I do this? We're coming at a point where there's hardly any differences. There are minute differences that are now happening. So yeah, definitely interesting times. But for me, who's a tech geek, I love reading what's coming out around the corner. I love what's new. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Now TikTok, that famous video app, and there was rumors about Microsoft buying them out. It's now saying that TikTok may go to Walmart. Walmart are looking into TikTok. Could they work with Microsoft to buy TikTok? I'm not too sure, but Walmart definitely feels as though they can definitely push that platform without China being involved to everybody out there. It's very interesting to see. I mean, TikTok's a huge medium, and I never ever thought that companies like Microsoft or even Walmart was the last company that I ever thought of that would go into that. But they're definitely looking into that. It's definitely interesting times for sure when it comes to things like that. I mean, I always kind of thought that Walmart, well, not Walmart, but I always kind of thought that TikTok was going to die a slow death. But obviously, how wrong I was there. It turned out to be very popular. It turned out to be, something extraordinary out there. Come November time, we obviously got the Xbox Series X, and we've got the PlayStation 5 that's coming out in November. Everybody's waiting to hear about what the pricing is going to be like. No one's sure about it all. People are batting around the £400 mark. Some are saying 500. Some are saying it could be even more than just that. And I reckon you're probably looking around near the £600 mark, $500 to $600 mark, because it is a huge step forward in terms of what it can do in terms of loading time. Its power is going to be quite strong. It's going to be a console like you've never had before. I believe this will be I believe this will be a jump. I think the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro, the Pro was definitely a huge disappointment because it didn't really deliver on what you thought you were going to get. I think the Xbox One X was closer to that, but again, didn't quite meet the expectations, that it wanted to get. Now TikTok, um, yeah, I just find it really interesting, like how some of these applications are really going to really kick off. Apple, again in the news, and this is very interesting. Apple have rejected orders to unlock a gunman's phone, and I know that the authorities want to be able to get into that information to understand the pattern. Tim Cook has said that the request to unlock a phone sets a dangerous precedent of it all, but I don't know. I'm alongside with the authorities where, if there is a pattern, if they're talking to someone else or whatever, I think they should have the right to be like, look, this person has killed someone. and we should be able to look into their phone or their devices and look at their pattern. Maybe it's something that started off from very small. Maybe they can see a pattern that can prevent that from happening in the future. But at the same time, I understand the whole privacy thing. You don't want to have your privacy um, kind of invaded or kind of like, taken away from you. But I've always been an advocate of, if you're not doing anything wrong, what have you got there to hide? So it's a very, very delicate issue when it comes to thing like this. But yeah, I mean, what do you all think about that? What do you all feel about, if the authorities were able to unlock your phone? It is definitely interesting time. Besides that, that's the news for this week. There's going to be a lot more in regards to what's happening next week because there's a lot of changes in the world of tech, new devices and new reveals. I'm excited about the camera phone reveal, Nvidia. I'm excited about that as well, being a gamer, but definitely is a big thing. I think the one big thing that I am excited about for me, hardware-wise, in the next few weeks will be the Surface Duo. They're not calling it a phone. It's like a tablet slash phone kind of thing. It's very slim. I'm very much looking forward for this to be released in the US. It's going to be interesting to see how this handheld is going to be like. And again, if you're watching the video, you can see how the handheld is going to look like. Um, Microsoft are very adamant in saying that how you work on two screens and how your brain looks at two screens is very different, makes you a lot more productive. It's going to be interesting to see if that is the case. But yeah, that's all I have for this week. I hope you've all enjoyed the podcast this week. I know it wasn't a lot of information, but trust me, come next week, come September, October, November, even December, there's going to be so much happening, so much tech. And I think the whole thing is beginning to pick up again, which is great time. I'm very, very much excited for. Once again, I want to say thank you to all of the listeners and now viewers for listening to my podcast, video podcast, or just a normal podcast. And I hope that you've all enjoyed it. I've enjoyed doing this. If it's been a bit weird for you in terms of watching it, I know it hasn't been the most smoothest of things, and I kind of need to now know that I'm doing a video as well as an audio. But yeah, I'm looking forward to give you a lot more updates. Obviously, come next week as well with these new announcements and stuff. I'm hoping to get Ben back onto the podcast so we can have a discussion about what's been discussed. But until next time, stay safe, and I shall chat to you all soon. So take care, everybody.